So we had our fourth OC night market. Open Market has a first location and they actually had openings come up this month and I did choose one. And then for the rest of the month I was kind of working on new merchandise, specifically Anime Expo and the first 66 night market. Hi everyone, welcome to another Emii Creations vlog, and today we are recapping June 2022. For those new here, my name is Emii and I run a small business called Emii Creations selling merchandise from my own art. So June was a relatively slower month, so I did include a few beginning of July events in this vlog. So we'll be going all over that, and then at the end we'll be going over my sales numbers and what I plan on doing for next month. So we had our fourth OC night market around June 17th to the 19th, and for this event I had no helper, it was just me. The benefit of that is the cost is lower where I don't have to pay helper fees, but I am by myself, which is sometimes a little bit of a hassle if you're wanting to take breaks or go to the restroom or stuff like that. But it wasn't that busy, so I was able to manage it. And they kind of changed the layout a little bit where they moved the inside pavilion people, which is where I usually am, to the outside, to the side of the pavilion. I think they did that because the OC Fair is coming up and they're doing a lot of prep work for the OC Fair, and a lot of the pavilion areas are getting set up in preparation. So in order to accommodate both events, they moved a few of us outside, which is fine because that was where the entrance and exit was still. But overall, it was pretty decent. It was more of a normal night market crowd, even though it was a little sparse here and there, but I was still happy to be there and make some money back. And it was a much needed kind of like chiller event where it was near where I lived. I didn't have to drive anywhere, I didn't have to travel, I didn't have a helper fee, so it was kind of like a straightforward fun event. Per usual, I had some last minute things come up. So for those who don't know, I do have a semi-permanent pop-up at Open Market in Mainplace Mall, which is in Santa Ana, California. And Open Market has a first location, like the very first location, kind of like a flagship location in Laguna Hills at their Laguna Hills Mall. And I've kind of been on the wait list to try to get in there for a while, and they actually had openings come up this month, or this last month. So I was super excited. I went to check out the locations and the booths that were open, and I did choose one. It's kind of near the back, so the location is not as good. And this Open Market the traffic is a little less than the other one because Mainplace Mall is pretty well known and it's a very active mall. There's a lot of things going on there. Every weekend I go, it's always pretty busy. The Laguna Hills Mall, on the other hand, is pretty much closed. The only thing that's kind of consistently there that's pretty active is they have a vintage mall that kind of pops up every other Sunday, so they kind of get overflow traffic from there, which I hear keeps a lot of the vendors at the Open Market Laguna Hills location alive. And so it's not as much traffic, but I was still really excited to be there and try it out, and it doesn't cost as much as the other location, probably because their personal rental cost is lower as well. And overall, it took 5 almost complete days to set up, from doing the walls and then waiting for the paint to dry and then setting up the displays. So we officially opened the doors like the last week of June. I was finally able to get that up and running, and so far we made a few sales already. It's definitely not as much as like the Adore Carlsbad or the Mainplace Mall locations, but I'm still making money, so that's a good sign. And I'm looking forward to how July plays out to determine whether or not it's actually going to be a very good thing or like just a break-even thing. So I'll keep you guys updated on that process. And then for the rest of the month, I was kind of working on new merchandise. Because of inflation and a lot of things going on in the industry right now and the world in general, I kind of was very hesitant to do big releases this year, and I'm still kind of there, not really interested in doing big like t-shirt, new merch, that kind of releases. So I decided to do new stickers again. Stickers are always been a really good seller for us on wholesale and retail side. So I had some designs I have been interested in doing for a while. So I just worked on those, and I'm kind of pulling back and just focusing on restocking maybe the rest of the year. I don't think I'm gonna have another release like I did last year, just because the shows aren't very stable right now. The income from the shows are lower than the years prior, and people are just, you know, really suffering from the inflation, the high gas costs, the high flight costs, everything to get to the actual events. So I think it might be a good idea to just lay low for a little bit. I'm still considering 1 or 2 new products, but we'll have to see how the next 2 months play out. And then the 2 events I'm including in here that aren't technically in June is the ones on July 4th weekend. And that is specifically Anime Expo and the first 66 night market. So Anime Expo, as usual, was amazing. Like, I always do well at that show. People are always excited to be there. People are always excited to buy. I really love the crowd. They're super nice. And even the vendors are all super nice. So one of my favorite shows out there. Really had a good experience this year. I was really surprised. I know there's some issues that happened with the attendees that went. I think there's some fire marshal issues where there's too many people in the halls. And then there's some issue with the temperature within the artist alley. But honestly, I personally didn't have a bad experience within the artist alley. I know it was like warmer than people wanted, and mostly if you're in full cosplay and you're walking around, like that could get really hot really easily. But the first year they moved us to the basement was so much worse, and I still have traumatic memories of that one. So in terms of comparing it to that year, this is nothing in comparison. And then moving on to the 66 night market, Cricket went to the night market while I was at Anime Expo, and honestly, very mediocre sales. And I did have a little bit of an issue where the spot I picked wasn't ideal because we were next to the stage and it was so loud. I don't know why they put the music on that loud, but I couldn't hear myself talk. I couldn't hear my clients talk, and it's not like it was that loud throughout the whole event, thank goodness, but it's significantly loud for a long period of time during really the peak hours. So I was a little disappointed in that, and I probably won't be in the same spot next year if I go back, because I just couldn't handle the sound. I guess some people could deal with it, but like it was just not for me. I'm gonna definitely move my booth next year, but for now we are stuck there for the rest of this year, which is 2 more events. But hopefully it gets better. A lot of vendors were saying this particular night market was not as good. The crowds weren't as busy. People weren't as interested in buying and stuff like that. There are like outliers, but for the most part, amongst like the people that have been here every year for the last like 4 or 5 years, we're saying that this one is one of the lowest income ones they've had for 66 night market specifically. All right, we have reached the point where we talk about sales numbers, and for this month it was a little lower than the last few months of the year, basically, actually most of the year. I made around 5K in sales, and the good point is I didn't have a lot of costs this time because the events I was going to this particular month was all local, relatively local. So I did gross 4K of that, which is awesome. And then just as a reminder, the Anime Expo and 66 night market will be counted for July. And then wholesale was lower than all the months following this month because, in my opinion, people are waiting for the big July, August, like shows. Like there's a lot of wholesale shows during July and August, and there's the big fair online event as well. So I feel like a lot of wholesale buyers are kind of holding out for those events and not really buying this month. And then the Adore and Open Market new locations, I technically haven't cashed in yet. I've set up at them and they're making money, but I don't actually get the check until the 10th of the next month for like July. So you guys will see how that is going and how each location is doing once we get the check next month. And speaking of next month, what is going on next month? We do have quite a few shows coming up, which is like, But at the beginning of the year, already covered in this, was Anime Expo and 66 Night Market. And then the weekend after that, we have another 66 Night Market, the second one of the year. And then right after that, almost like the Monday after that show, I will be going to Atlanta for the Atlanta Mart. And that is during the week, and I'll be back on Friday. And then at the very end of the month, we have a double show with Otakon and the Bay Area 66 Night Market. And then for the double show, they have approved me sending a proxy to Otakon this year, so Cricket will be going to Otakon while I will be driving to the Bay Area for the Bay Area Night Market. As always, thank you so much for watching. We finally reached the end of the video. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. I hope this was informative. Be sure to give me tips of what you want to see in the comments below. And just as an awesome announcement, we are almost at the 1K mark for subscribers. So every new subscriber is so appreciated. I think last I checked, we were at 890, so we have 110 people left before the opportunity of monetization comes up to me. Looking forward to that. In the meanwhile, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next vlog. Bye!